When it comes to your business, do you know how things will end? Join me for this week's episode where we talk about exit plans. Hi everybody, I'm Michelle Carre and welcome to Your Delicious Life, where each week we take a look at life from a different perspective and we either learn something new or get reminded of something we already knew. This week's episode is called What's Your Exit Plan? Now, when it comes to business, usually we're really excited and really pumped up when we are embarking on the new business. And if we do take the time to write a business plan, which I encourage you to do, watch last week's episode, but we want to think about all the positive stuff, what we're selling, how we're going to sell it, who we're going to market it to. And we often forget to think about how the business will end. And this is such an important step because if we don't think about how the business is going to end early, sometimes we can get caught off guard and we end up scrambling when it does come time to end things, and that's never a good way to be. But if you do take the time to plan your exit early, you can actually make decisions about your business throughout your business that will support the exit plan that you have in mind. An exit plan is usually triggered by an event of some kind. Now, you might predetermine what that event is. In a traditional sense of our work lives, usually the trigger event to retire is a specific age. Well, that might be true in your business as well. For example, in real estate, it's a service-based business for yourself. So you might say, I want to have this business until I'm 65, standard retirement age. But you might also say, I want it till 55, and you want to embark on the Freedom 55 lifestyle. Or maybe you want to do real estate until you're 75. All three of those things, that's a 20-year difference. All three of those points in time would have completely different strategies during your business. So you'd want to be clear about what your end point is likely to be. Now, another type of event that involves a timeline could be something like, I want to do this business for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It could be a time frame that you've set for yourself that you want to put time and energy into the business. And I think this is something that often gets skipped over for a lot of new business owners because they don't think about the longevity of the business or how long they want to actually do the business. Maybe the business idea you have or the thing you're getting into is something you just want to do while your kids are in school. And maybe you'll want to switch gears once they've graduated. Or maybe it's a business you want to do for a certain period of time, or maybe it's even dependent on your physical ability. Maybe you want to own a gym, but you want to be able to participate with your customers and members at the gym. So maybe there's a point in your life where you say, I don't want to be doing this after this specific age. I just don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. The point is to know what that trigger event is. Another type of trigger event could be a threshold. Now, on the positive side of things, this could be you reaching a certain sales goal or the business being of a specific value. And maybe that point would be a point where you'd want to sell. Now, the reverse could also be true. Perhaps your threshold is so many dollars in debt or so many months of loss versus profit. You might have thresholds on both end of things where you would say, if we hit either of these, it's time to exit the business. Now, a trigger event can also be based on another person. Take, for example, a partnership. Matt and I are partners in our real estate business. So a trigger event for us, fingers crossed, knock on wood, could be the dissolution of the marriage. And that's not a fun conversation to have when you're in business with your spouse, but it's important because you have to think about how would things happen if our partnership dissolved, if our marriage dissolved, would that impact the business? If so, how? Because there's lots of little pieces to this that we're going to get into in just a second that affect how the business will end. Now, another relationship could be a franchisee and a franchisor. If the franchisor made a decision that impacted the franchisee, that could trigger your exit plan. So there are lots of different ways that a business can end. So you really want to take time at the beginning to think about what these events are. And I say events plural because there's probably multiple ways that your business could end, good or bad. So you want to think about what those are and create a plan around it. Once you've identified your trigger events, then you want to start to plan who would be involved and how it would work when it comes to your exit plan. So let's say, for example, that your exit plan will be triggered once you hit a certain age or a certain number of years in business. And you say, look, I'm going to give it my all until I'm X age, or I'm going to give it my all for the next 10 years, and then I want to exit. How does that exit look? Are you going to sell the business? Well, let's dig into that. How does that look? If you're selling a business, you're going to want to make sure that you prepare the entire time you own that business by keeping good financial records that you can eventually pass along to potential buyers. Now, I am no expert in the buying and selling of businesses. I have bought and sold a business, but that does not make me an expert, so I would consult with someone who does that on a regular basis. But what I can tell you is financials are a huge part of the transaction. So if that's something you know you're eventually going to want to do, start early. You don't want to be in a position where you're thinking, okay, it's time to sell the business. It's doing great. We're profitable. It's awesome. Well, how much is it worth? Well, it's worth more than it was when I opened because it makes more money. That's not going to work. You want to have more detail than that. So get your financial stuff in order early if that's your plan. Now, if your plan is more about passing the business on to someone else, perhaps a partner, or maybe you want to hire someone that you will groom into the role of ownership that you would eventually sell to. Well, that's something that could take a couple of years of preparation to find the right person, get them in their role, and then start grooming them to take over the company. So you want to be planning these things out and imagining how you want to transition out of your business well in advance so that you can get everything in order and make it successful. Now, let's say you're in a partnership. A lot of the times we think of the financials right away. How would that work if our partnerships dissolve financially? But there's other things to consider too. For example, your client list. What's the other person going on to do? Is there any non-compete clause that you need to have? If they're leaving and it's a happy situation, would you naturally take on their client list? What does that look like? Maybe they're leaving and they're staying in the same industry. What does that look like? Maybe they're leaving and you guys aren't necessarily happy with one another, but they're leaving for a completely different industry. How does that look? So there's so many different pieces to this pie. And I'm not suggesting that you say, hey, I'm going to open a business, and then iron out every detail about how the exit would happen. I'm just saying that it's important to think about what events would cause you to end your business, whether that is selling it, passing it along to someone, exiting your partnership, or just closing the doors and saying, thanks, that was fun. It doesn't matter how it ends, but thinking about what would cause it to end and then roughly how that might look. Because if you take the time now, you can really get a sense of clarity around it, and it will drive a lot of your decision and your behavior as a business owner. An exit plan is just as important as your financial plan, as your marketing plan, as knowing who your ideal client is, as being clear about what products and services you offer. All of those pieces are important parts of a business plan. And whether you are in business and you are a franchisee, maybe you own something that you've created from the ground up, or maybe you're a sole proprietor or a commission salesperson that is creating a business for themselves. And even in that realm, if you're in real estate and you are part of a team, or you're in business just on your own. All of these different scenarios require an exit plan of some kind. They require a business plan and they require an exit plan. So I would really encourage you to sit down and think about what that might look like. And as I said before, I don't want it to be a depressing, sad exercise, but start considering the different things that might cause you to make an adjustment with your business and perhaps end it, and think about what that might look like. And like anything in life, we're not going to know all the steps until we're actually in the situation. But if you bring some light to it now, you can start to plan so that you're not surprised when it does happen. Because let's face it, everything comes to an end. So it's better to be prepared than get caught off guard. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an incredible week, and I will see you next week for the next episode of Your Delicious Life. The spring session for Create the Life You Envision is open now, so you can join us. So what is it? Well, Create the Life You Envision is an online course that I created from my own experience. We start with clearing the clutter, both physically and mentally, so we have a clean slate to work from. From there, I'm going to challenge you to define what success is for you in each area of your life. And then we're going to make a plan, because I don't want you to just have an idea and theories of what you want. I want to help you create a plan so that you're actually taking action to accomplish the goals that you've set for yourself and truly live the life that you envision. Now, what I love about this course is the 12 live calls that we're going to do. And I chose 12 because there are 6 modules. So kind of giving people double the time to ask questions and interact on the phone calls. But the calls are all about providing inspiration, encouragement, and answers if you're feeling stuck or you're not sure what to do. I've taken online courses before, and I found that during the process, I've had questions, but I haven't necessarily been able to interact. Sure, there's Facebook groups, and those work great for some people, and there might be a live call that you can log into, but what I wanted to do is create a call using Zoom so we could have live video and actually be able to see each other and help each other through this process. And I wanted to create an environment where we can also learn from one another. So like I said, there's going to be 12 of these calls. It's going to allow you to ask your questions, keep going in your progress, and get inspired and encouraged by the other people that are taking the course right along with you. So you can go to michellecarre.com, just click on Create the Life You Envision, and you can enroll in the course today, and you can actually get access to all of the modules right away. So if you're a keener and want to get going, you can do that, and then you can join the calls when they start. And if you get excited, join the course now, but maybe forget to start the modules, it's okay. You're going to get an email reminder about the calls, and we're going to get you back on track so that you can finish the course and make changes that are substantial and impactful in your life, so you can stop feeling busy and start feeling purposeful with every single day. Join me for the spring session of Create the Life You Envision.